one thing I would love for you to take away is to understand the depravity of man. People, you are not basically good. That is what the world views people as. Oh, well, people are basically good. No, far from it. Your heart is deceitful above all things and desperately sick. Why is this so essential? This is the one thing I want everyone to understand. Why is it so important? Well, first, you need to understand how depraved you are in order to want a savior to save you. This is why the atheists got rid of this idea of the sinner and sin. Because if you don't need saving, then you don't need a savior. See how that works? But it also has political implications, right? Whenever there's a proposal for one of your liberties to be infringed upon, people always respond, and listen, progressives obviously say this, Democrats will say this, even conservatives will say this. And we need to stop saying this. So let's say there's a proposal from Joe Biden to track all the transactions in every bank account. Every bank account will be monitored by the federal government constantly. And they say, it's to track money laundering and drug trafficking or something, right? And what do most people say? Most people, even most conservatives, say, I have nothing to hide. That's fine, I have nothing to hide. Oh, yeah, I know. Oh, fine, great. I'm glad you're not a money launderer. It's not about you. It's about the people doing the tracking. That's who I don't trust. There's a lot of proposals, especially here in California, to put tracking devices on every car so they can see how many miles you drive and tax you per mile, right? And I'm like, I don't really want the government to know where I'm driving. And people say, why? I have nothing to hide. It's like, oh, gee, yeah, that's not the point. The Department of Justice just yesterday said that they are instructing the FBI, to investigate all threats made to school board members. And the school board administration of the country wants to label people who make threats at school boards, they want to label them domestic terrorists. Domestic terrorists. Now, you may be thinking, well, Slater, that's fine. That's not me. I'm not a domestic terrorist. Yeah, I know you're not. It's not you I'm worried about. It's them. And knowing what power does to a degenerate heart. It's not good to have so much power in the hands of so few and in the hands of so few people who have degenerate hearts. Are you with me? It's not about whether you have something to hide or not. You never want that amount of power in those people's hands, ever, under any circumstance. So modern sociologists and anthropologists, they start with the idea that man is basically good. So when man does something bad, they got to come up with a reason for it. I'll give you an example of this in media world. Whenever there's a school shooting, everyone in the media always wonders why. How could this have happened? And whenever there's a school shooting, my view is, how is this not happening all the time, nonstop? Knowing the depravity of man, you would think that there's school shootings every day, all the time, like dozens of schools, right? By the way, the etymology of depraved, it means crooked. That was the beginning of the word meant crooked, and then it came to mean more like emotionally and morally corrupted and degenerate, right? And so so if man's good, but a bad thing happens, well, there's got to be a reason for it, right? And then politicians come in, and because they think we live in utopia and we need to make utopia, and a bad thing happened, how could this be? Well, it's because government wasn't big enough. It's because there weren't enough laws. We need more government, more laws. That will fix this problem here that shouldn't exist because people are good. But no, it's not about laws. It's about the heart of man. So sociologists, anthropologists, they think man is good. So when something bad happens, they need to know how. And the reason they came up with to explain all the atrocities from the Nazis is brainwashing, right? All the German people were brainwashed. That was their explanation of how these otherwise very normal German people ended up killing 6 million Jews and 11 million total people and threw them in ovens, right? How could that be? How could you take a normal guy in Germany And then he ends up they go do things like this, and they're like, and it's brainwashing. That's their explanation. How did good people do bad things? There was so much Nazi propaganda that people went crazy and killed all the Jews. And they have to think that. Because they believe, the modern belief is that man is getting better and better. Man is on the ascendancy. Obama would always say something like, the moral arc of the universe bends towards justice. No, it doesn't. You hear things on the left, people say, we're on the right side of history. You got to be on the right side of history. Stuff like that, right? It's all in that same world. So the German people, they were all brainwashed. They couldn't even think straight because of all the Nazi brainwashing. It turned good people bad. You with me? The brainwashing turned otherwise good people bad. And my argument is, no, people are all bad. And it's the civilizing forces that exist in a country that makes people good. But it's hard work to make people good. People are not naturally good. They are naturally bad. And there's a lot of really important foundational things that exist in a country and a culture that make people good. When there is no civilization to control people, when there's no religion, when there's no conscience, when there's no concept of God, when there's no law, it's over. And people don't get that. People today don't understand that because they think people are good. And we don't understand that to our own country's peril because we don't understand how fragile civilization is. And as you actively undermine the foundations of civilization, which is what we do, people are going to be shocked when it all collapses and when people start acting by their heart's true desire.
Wow. That was deep and insightful. I want more of that. Like, subscribe, get more.